Mic check. Yes, we're here. Hello, people. Good to see double digits in class. Sounds like you guys had a wild week. So, who can tell me how did the presentation go? Any volunteers?
It was fantastic.
There's a word you don't normally hear much in CSA. I must ask, why was it fantastic? What? Cool, no man. I see that. I see that, Rochelle. Cool, no man. All right. All right. Yeah, man. No, sir. Going to have to let me give Omari a call and see if it's true, and if it's actually true, give everybody extra marks when them turn in them assignment. How that sound? Bonus marks for everybody, the whole class. All right, cool. I see some thumbs up. All right, good stuff, guys. Good stuff. All right, so we're going to keep it moving. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to have to try and cram as much into this class because we're kind of a class behind. But I would like to say it was worth it based on what you guys are telling me. All right, so let's take a look on our schedule now. Let's see. I know we're doing architecture and infographics today, which we should have done Monday. Let's see. Today is the 28th. 28. So there's somewhere down here. Yeah, see we here. Tomorrow is what is the due date for the assignment 1. So I will be looking forward to marking those. Right? So that is due on Sunday. I will call on Dania because I know, as you said, Dania, I see your message. Instead, I will ask Alex, what happens when assignments are late in computing?
Get a mark deducted.
How is it deducted?
Per day.
How much per day?
One person.
Hold on, it sounds like you're familiar with the process.
Yes, sir.
All right. Um, all right. Um, so I will look forward to that on Sunday. Um, right. So infographics in architecture. I kind of did a piece of it, a quarter of it on Monday, so I could hopefully ease off some of the pressure off of today. Cause we have to do this today, and then no, today is to do it today. This is March 3, 28. Right. On Monday, we're going to talk about the infographic creation. Oh no, hold on. Right, infographic creation process. Right. So that is Monday coming. All right, we're not doing too bad. And then we're going to kick off the architectural infographics assignment next. Then the following Saturday, actually going to help you an assignment too. So we're not doing too bad. We're not doing too bad. We're like right on the edge of being on schedule. But guess what? I need what we're trying to do now. Hopefully I'll know by Monday or so. Is I'm trying to plan for the virtual field trip, right? So that's when we're going to test out some stuff with VR headsets. So I'm going to coordinate with Mr. Sean Johns because he's going to be on the ground with you, and we're going to conduct some experiments. That's the plan. Likely this will be a Monday class, right? It won't be the coming Monday. I have to try and find some time in our schedule. Right. So I think we kind of gave away some of the time on Monday when we didn't have the full class, but we'll try and get it back. We'll try and do double. All right, guys, but that's going to be cool. And as soon as I tie down a time, we'll talk about that a little more. All right. So last time we met, if you guys had any brain space left for me, right? We spoke a little bit about architectural infographics. I showed an example of some thesis project, some architectural thesis project, right? In all the rush, I didn't even remember to ask. Do you guys know what is an architectural thesis project? You can tell me.
Sir, why you ask me? You call my name, sir.
No, I said who can tell me? And you answer. So be my guest.
Well, all right. If nobody, I think it's like when you have some level of, like you have a question you're trying to answer, or you're trying to use architecture to answer that question. That's how I think about it so far.
All right. Yeah, that's part of the answer. So you still get a mark for that. Anybody else? What is the architectural thesis project? No takers. I'm trying to look for. Oh, it's not here. Thought I downloaded it. Let me try and find it back. Okay, here it is. Come on, internet. It's taking this little time. Okay, good. Right, so this is what I had shown this project. Where it gone? Come on. There we go. Right, I had shown this project. This is what we were looking at last time. Oh, well, this is the single page version. So a thesis project is basically your final project when you do the master's course in architecture, right? So last week I was showing you some examples of infographics in architecture, the use of diagrams and flowcharts and stuff like that. Now, I'm not going into explaining the project, but I just said it was a incubator, business incubator, right? And what I did was kind of went through to show how infographics is very much a part of architecture all the way to the end, which you guys already know because you presented it in your study tour, which is awesome, right? So I won't go through those examples again because we did that in the class, right? And if you weren't there for that class, as usual, the recording is there. What we're going to focus on today is breaking down infographics in architecture. We're going to continue our journey, right? So the last the last time we met, hopefully I helped you guys out in trying to determine what is infographics, and we kind of spent a class with me trying to hopefully guide you in creating infographics. Like I gave you a 5-step process. It's coming up, it's coming up. There we go. I gave you a quick a quick 5-step process in how you can create your infographic, right? I gave you some great resources that you can use, right? You should definitely keep these links for life. I think these links have been around for more than 10 years. I think so, because and they're still been around, and I've just added to them. So these are some great links, and this is an idea of how you can create the infographic. So what we're going to look on today is infographic in architecture. So now we're going to kind of curve back around to architecture, because we kind of went infographics generally. And we're going to talk about it a little bit more in architecture. So this is where we begin. All right, that's a sound test. You guys are getting audio?
Oh, no.
Yes, sir.
Okay, here. Okay, good. All right, so the interesting thing about this is the image on the left. Oh, hold on. Let me remove the spotlight. Can you guys see the screen? Is it, I mean, you can make it out a little bit. Yes? No? Yes?
Yes, sir. We can see.
Yes, sir.
Cool, cool, cool. So we have these 4 images here. The one on the left is the actual map of London Underground. So London Underground is like the metro for London, right? And every major city that has a bunch of people, they have a subway, right? It runs underneath the city. And this is the exact map of what it's like. And what happened here is a kind of a simplification of it. And the interesting thing is that when it became simple, it didn't become more accurate, because on the left side would be the most accurate thing. So if you look on this. This is kind of like spaghetti, as they were saying. And then this is a bit more simplified. And then this is what we have today. Now, the reason I bring up this example is because a visual summary. That's what I call it. How can you summarize something that is complex? You see the difference, guys? You see the spaghetti lines versus lines that go in a particular direction, right? I mean, when you're on the train, you don't need to know that the train is going to take a corner 10 degrees right, then 15 degrees left, and then 25 degrees right again. You just want to know that it's going south or north, or it's going towards the place that you want to go. And that is what happened here. Now, the thing is, you guys kind of already do this. So as I keep saying, you guys are kind of one step ahead when it comes to doing infographics. You guys do a process of, I want to put a name to it, architectural simplification. Let's call it that. You guys already do that. And you even have a name for it. Do you remember the name that you guys have for it?
Parti diagrams.
Exactly. So this is the beauty of advanced computing too, is that what we're trying to do is we're trying to look at things in other industries and then try and compare it with architecture and look at things that, hold on, we already have this thing, but it's just in a different language. And then we combine it with something else to create something else, right? So most of what we remember is a lot of what we see, right? And when you guys create these party diagrams, yes, they are great for explaining your concept, but what I want to do is to try and stretch it a bit further with injecting it with some information, right? So
what's an infographic?
now, if you remember, we talked about this before, and we know that infographic is injecting information. So what if you inject information into a party diagram? Because remember, when we did infographic, we built a chart, and then we inject creativity and information. With architectural infographic, right? Which is very kind of specific to maybe buildings or maybe certain aspects of buildings. All we need to do now is add the information to the party diagram we already have. So an architectural infographic is a combination of a party diagramming and data to creatively communicate architectural concept, idea, or statistics or data. What I want you guys to do is to push your party diagrams further, apart from just having the diagram saying, look, this is the major space in this building. I want you to add some data to it. So information plus a diagram plus creativity equals infographic, which is the same thing as saying, in our case, in architecture, the diagram is the party diagram. And then we just need to add information to it. So we already possess the ability to simplify information, right? So if I take this diagram here, you guys could probably already simplify this already, right? Right, I don't have to make you, no, you guys already know how to do this already. And if you look at what this diagram is saying, it's probably saying that, okay, there is a big mass volume that is here, right? So you've turned it into a party diagram. Now, what if I wanted to say, this building has a dining area of 50%. It's 50, the natural ventilation is allocated to mostly to the kitchen area. If this is percentage, then no, I guess what it is saying is that the dining area is 50% naturally ventilated. The bedroom is 70% naturally ventilated and the kitchen is 90%. So maybe the AC unit is furthest away from the kitchen. Let's put it that way, right? Or maybe this could be that you have a window. Maybe the kitchen has the largest window in your building, whatever the scenario is. But how do I communicate this information, but within this diagram? I mean, I could just put the text below the information and call it a day. But we could maybe investigate some more creative ways of doing it. What do you think, Odin?
Yes, I think we could investigate some more creative ways of doing it. Sorry.
Right. So this is a party diagram combined with what kind of chart?
The volume chart.
Not quite the name.
Bar.
Right. Cooper got it. It's a bar chart. That's basically what it is.
Oh, okay.
Right? But I can see that this, well, it's not labeled, right? But this area here is that 90% is the kitchen that have 90% ventilation and so forth. So what I've done is combine a chart with a architectural diagram. And that's really an approach that you can take. So now you can not only use your party diagram to talk about, you know, like how you put the building together, but you can also incorporate it with data, right? And that is kind of the meat of what this whole information graphics is really trying to talk about data and trying to express data in a creative way. So we already do a kind of a diagram like this, usually when we have a design. We do these type of diagrams. And most times we will normally talk about maybe it's the concept or how you got to, you know, how you got to where you got to. So in a way, it is a type of how to or process infographic. This is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. But we kind of call it a party diagram. This is another one as well, right? And doing something like this is great to show exploration, right? So for example, these are different options. You guys already did your housing project from what? From third year, from last year, right? So you could show that you investigated different layout options for your project. And this is perhaps one of the most common uses of a party diagram in architecture. You know, we use it as a kind of comparison chart. But also, this is another interesting one. Now, if you look at the design on the right? And I have the link here to the original design. Right. This is in the US, right? Anyway, this is a hybrid office. And if you can see the picture here, you know, it's kind of interesting. It have the books that also forms the seating as well, right? You can kind of know these spaces that are well designed. But this is a nice little icon iconography formula to say that, hey, I used a bookshelf, I combine it with an arena, and I got a book arena. So simple, so elegant, right? And then this is what the design look like. So what I'm focusing on is this, the diagramming, because this is also information as well. It's like saying 1 + 1 equal 11, right? Not 2. Because the reason why I say 11 is that we're not talking about basic math here. We're simply saying that, hey, what if you combine a bookshelf and an arena? What would you get? Right? Which is not like a logical like formula, but visually you kind of get what it's saying, right? So that's the information in this. So it's like you're using your party diagram now to communicate some additional information, not just this is the form of my building or whatever, right? So I like these creative ways of using the party diagram. This one is pretty cool. Houses plus tables, right? This is what the design looks like, you know? Anyway, oops. Now we're going into some of the really useful ones, right? This is another one that I love. This is talking about a project and trying to communicate multiple layers of information, but using the same party diagram. So if you look at this image here, it's trying to communicate the plot restrictions. So you can see the dash lines here that's telling you, okay, this is the maximum height and this is the most we can build out this building. But then the party diagram itself is showing the actual, silhouette of the building design in its basic form. But not only is it showing you that, it's also layering some dimensions as well. So you know that the building is 36.6 meters high, right? So if you remember coming from infographics before, when we talk about party diagram, when we speak about layering of information, if you remember our last presentation, we spoke about, okay, you might have a chart, but the chart could be represented as something else. And then you layer more information on it and more information. Kind of like that building that we had that, the leaning to tell you the world's most tallest buildings, but also tell you the world's most leanest buildings as well. But it's using the exact same chart to communicate the same idea, right? So this is overlaying multiple information together using the party diagram. So what I'll be showing you in this is just ways in which you can expand just having a party diagram on your sheet. Here's another one. This one is pretty cool. So this is an exploded massing diagram, exploded party diagram, whatever you want to call it, right? It has the different colors, but then it's also communicating information on top of that as well. So for example, the top floor has a certain amount of square footage. It makes use of these icons, right? Can you guys make out the numbers of this icon? I don't want to fully give it away, so I'll make somebody volunteer. What is the infographic telling me about this top floor? Anybody? What would be your interpretation?
That the unit takes up the entire floor. It's more of a
Penthouse.
Penthouse, right? Okay, it's a penthouse, right? But then look at the use of the diagrams as well. So what do you think it's saying? Can you make out the text?
It has 3 bedrooms.
Right. What else?
3.5 bathrooms.
There you go. Exactly. Maybe 3 offices. I'm not sure what that other one is. And then maybe it has like a outdoor
A lounge.
area, lounge or whatever. Exactly. So what I'm saying is that remember what we started with infographics, the use of icons to represent information. But now we're using the party diagram, but we're still using the rules of infographic and still using the rules of design because the color of this matches the color here, right? There's a kind of creativity to it as well because each row has the color that correspond to each floor. It's also communicating the shape of the building as well, right? So it's communicating multiple things in the same party diagram, right? It's not like it's like how you would have 10 different party diagrams on your sheet. No, you have one and trying to inject as much or pull out as much information out of that as possible. So that is pretty cool. We touched on this diagram before, which is a really interesting diagram. So you know that we have our bubble diagram, which is technically it's a kind of infographic.
Really good luck there.
Right?
Have a look here.
And from the bubble diagram here, you can see the rooms that connect and everything. This proximity matrix diagram is also pretty cool. Is it required that you create one of these for your project at any point?
No.
Okay, but I think we did touch on this the last time we were looking at diagrams, right? The reason for this proximity diagram is that sometimes when persons are designing, they would design using this diagram here first before they even work out the rooms or anything. Because this diagram alone will tell you that, oh, okay, I need my guest room. Let me get my marker here to make sure that you're following. Yeah, I need my guest room to not be connected or is to be connected. Let me see what this says now on the bottom. Stop. Right, this one, oops. Ah, come on. There we go. Right. Mandatory. Okay, so must be connected. And this is a desire to connect, and this is not to be connected. Right. So if I go back to what I was saying here, without even having a bubble diagram, you can use one of these diagrams to say, oops, I need my guest room to definitely be connected to my pool and gym. I need my guest room to definitely be connected to my egress, which is my exit. And that is kind of how you read this type of diagram, right? So this one, it is a diagram. Technically, it's not a party diagram, but it's still used in architecture a lot because you could just list your rooms here without worrying about the reason why you have this diagram is that you can design how your room should connect even without laying it out. Because you just draw this up and you just shade in the areas that should connect. So for example, you might be saying that I need my dining and buffet, and you say, okay, that must not connect to my ballroom foyer, but it must connect to
Sir,
my
I think
public elevators and
they're
chairs.
shading the areas that they, I think the orange shading is for the areas that they actually have on that floor plan. But then like the full list is like usable for multiple floor plans. Is that the case?
No, I think the shading is there to help you to trace it because it would be confusing. You mean the orange shading here?
Yeah, the orange, I think the orange is what's on that plan.
No,
I don't
oh
know.
no, all of this is on the plan. Because you see,
Oh,
why you would do this is you would do this maybe even before you do a bubble diagram, right? And usually you do this for like complicated buildings. Like this building has more than 40 rooms. So if I gave you a list of 40 odd rooms, that means you have 40 odd bubbles on a piece of paper. And that might be a bit yeah, confusing. But if you can start to figure out like, all right, no, the bathroom have to connect to this room. The bedroom have to connect to this room. Like you're just figuring out what must connect to what. You don't your brain space is not trying to position these bubbles and figure, okay, this room going to be big, this room going to be small. It's just this room must connect to that room must connect to that room. So it's like after you're done shade out this diagram, you can really it makes drawing your bubble diagram much easier. So that's why I put this in this slide here because I don't know if you guys ever tried out this strategy before. Because sometimes when you get something to design or do, maybe you start just jumping into, okay, let me put some boxes or some circles and let me try to start figure which room connect to which. This is a more kind of data um, room analytical connection approach first, and then you go into the bubble diagram, right? So I thought this was pretty interesting. One of these days you can try it out with one of your project, right? If you have a bunch of rooms and you're trying to connect them before you do a bubble diagram, try doing one of these matrix diagrams and making them connect. Anyway, so I just wanted to put that in because that was pretty cool. Anyway, back to architectural infographics now as a more creative expression. Like, look at this interesting one here. What is this? This is not exactly a bubble diagram as such. But Dominique, what do you think this is saying? Dominique here?
Yes, sir.
What do you think this one is saying?
So it's an initial site layout, and like from what I can understand, it's basically maximizing on the different views that you can get from the different corners of the site. So that would help in designing like different areas for vantage points, usage of vantage points and stuff like that. That's what I understand from you.
Yes, yeah. That's majority of the answer. Though maybe I wouldn't phrase the answer exactly like that. But okay, it kinda is saying that as well. Anybody else have an opinion about this? So on the left is like a 3D, like a aerial view, a rendering, whatever it is. And on the right is a kind of it is a type of architectural infographic because it's kind of it's delivering information. And I think Dominic, you mentioned what you got right was the type of information it's delivering, but it's also doing it in a creative way, right? Um, before I give, who else want to give this a try? What do you think, Mia? What's the diagram on the right saying about the image on the left? Let me move this out of the way, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Finding the remote. Ray, what's up, Ray?
So good.
So what do you think the image on the right said?
Um, the views that you would get from the park, I think.
Correct. And if you think about this, like, okay, let me put it in a practical term. So you came up with your design for your studio project or whatever it is, and you want to communicate you have these viewpoints in your project and you want to communicate that, hey, look, I have some beautiful views, like you know, maybe you designed you created your building in such a way to take advantage of the views. How can I represent that as a infographic? I mean, I can say it as text. I could say it when I'm presenting the project. I could do a rendering, like I could try and do a rendering of the different areas, but expressing it this way gives you so much more information because this is a site plan of this building here. But then what it's trying to say is that from this point of the site, if I look, it's not have the north arrow, but if I look this way, yeah. So if I look this way, I am seeing, you know, in my cone of vision, and then I have an actual photo of what I'm actually seeing. So you realize it does these circles to represent cone of vision. So you know that from, for example, this point here, I can see the city. And this is the kind of views that it look like. So this is, you know, as I said, this would be a creative way of communicating. These are the views from my site, but it's abstracted through infographic. I remember infographic. It is information that it's showing. In this case, it's telling me the range of views that I have. So the architectural infographic might not always be like straight up numbers. Like in our first example. So like in this example, it's straight up numbers, like a bar chart. But then in this example, it's like a creative formula of some sort. And in this example, it's very dimensional, right? So, you know, it gives very specific dimensions. And then we're kind of back to a party diagram here. So there's so much that you can do with your architectural diagrams that you can infuse it with information more than just, oh, this is the shape of my building. You can give it so much more information. So for example, oh, this is a bubble diagram. It's a plan view of my building, but then I'm adding on this layer of information that talks about the views. This is another interesting one here. I think if anybody here plans to do like to move on to do your masters in architecture, this stuff is going to be super important because the difference with going forward in architecture is that you start to pay attention to data a bit more, right? So you find that you have to show evidence that the data supports your design. You kind of do it now in the undergrad where you know you do your study tour or you do your analysis, and the analysis said, well, there's a highway here, so you're going to have noise, and this is the where the wind is and the sunrise, and that is your basic data. But then you know you will likely have way more data, especially when you have to do something like a feasibility study. And this is what I was showing in the last class when you saw me show you when we talk about a thesis project, because apart from just showing the plans, so for example, let's scroll all the way down here if this can go a little faster. Yeah, so here are the plans. The plans are in this feasibility study, elevation, sections, all of this stuff, which, but what drives this design in the first place? Well, you had to know, like, yeah, sure, you have to do your site analysis and know, where is, what's happening around the site. But if I scroll through, there's other information to show. For example, if I'm putting up this building, how many staff members are going to be in this building? What are the different sizes of the different rooms? What are the requirements? Also, what about the business side of it? Like if somebody asks you to design a bank, you have to know how a bank operates. Should the vault be big, or is the vault just a digital thing because nobody stores cash anymore? You know what I mean? So this, when you're presenting your idea, it has to be backed by data. And you have to find ways to represent that data. And one of the, especially in architecture, using information graphics is a way to express that data. So for example, this one here talks about, I think it's a cultural center design. And the way that I did it is they represented the different rooms. Sorry, this is a different language. So this is different rooms, maybe like offices and dining, and then there's a bar chart below. And the difference with this kind of bar chart is it's telling you that in my entire building, this room here, oops, takes up 26% of my main space. Now, Leshan, can you identify on the party diagram where that space is?
Sir,
What was that?
sorry. I'm sorry, you're coming out in like chips,
Oh,
so I really
oh,
didn't
sorry,
hear most
right,
of what
yeah.
you said.
So I was saying, are you seeing the screen okay on your end?
Yeah.
All
Is
right, so
it the one with the picture to the left and a diagram?
right. So on this
Okay.
diagram below, which is
Mm-hmm.
essentially it's another type of bar chart. This is
Yeah.
a combined bar chart where everything is out of 100.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it's using these diagrams here to represent, these are the spaces in my building. And the largest space in my building is 26% of all my building. So I was
Mm-hmm.
saying, can you identify where on the party diagram this space is?
It's at the top.
Exactly. And the means by which you identify it is using the
Color.
exactly. So the information is connected to the data, right? So it's still infographics. Like if you think about it, sometimes when we do a party diagram, this is all we show. And that's it. Job done. I have my party diagram. It shows you, oh, well, this is on top of that. This is on top of that, and we're done. But now, what I'm encouraging you to do is to combine the party diagram with data to tell me more about the building. In this case, it's telling me about the sizes, but it could be other things like this room is the most ventilated or the least ventilated. All right, guys. Okay, hopefully I haven't left you behind. Hopefully you're following. This is another one of my favorites. So if you look on the left, this is a 3D image here. By the way, I have links to these, so if you want to like actually check out the page that has more information, I can give you the links to them. I think this is on the website as well. So if you click it, it will come up. So anyway, this is the 3D of this building. And these are, if you notice a similarity between most of these that I'm showing you, these are big stuff. These are lots of rooms, complex buildings, right? And I'm showing you this because, you know, when you do a simple house, you know, a 3-bedroom house, 2-bedroom house, chances are you don't need to show all this data because it's a house, you know, 3-bedroom house is done. But when you're doing something a bit more complex, like you're doing, you know, a museum, you know, it have more than 10 rooms. You know what I mean? You should always try as much as possible, not to just show a party diagram, but communicate info about it. So this one is cool because what they did here is create some boxes, and they made the boxes the size of the rooms. I wonder if anybody recognizes that this infographic is the same infographic as hold on. It's the very same infographic as one of these guys here. You remember this one? Where we use the boxes to determine this was what world's biggest tree planting campaigns. And we use these boxes to get an idea of size, you know, so we know right away that, oh, well, look at Australia. They do the most tree planting. And who does the least? Iceland. Well, there's not much trees in Iceland, right? Anyway, you know, this is kind of the same thing. They're just not stacked up against each other. So what this is saying is that, hey, these are all the rooms in my building, right? These are different square footages, and this is the names of each room. But in addition to that, it has this bar chart again on the left, and you can see that, for example, all the colors here add up to give you this section on the bar chart. So really the only thing that's missing that I would probably add to this diagram is maybe color coding it in this area here. Now this is a cool one because this is a bubble diagram, but it's a little different. As you know, a bubble diagram, one second. Yeah, sorry about that. Right. So this is a bubble diagram. Now the reason I show you this is that a bubble diagram doesn't have to be of a building. It can be of an entire site, right? And this is an example of that. And you can see where the different colors show you how everything is connected together. All right, now I did show you this website already, so you know about where to get your charts and stuff, which is pretty cool. Now the reason I add these in, usually when you guys do your presentations, like for example, when you did your study tour presentation, you had to collect data. You had to collect data about the town that you studied, right? And the thing is, a lot of Caribbean places don't have a lot of information on the internet. Like a lot of them, you probably have to like get it from the municipal, right? So I'm showing you this because sometimes in your presentation, you want to reference a broad topic. Like suppose you're focusing on trees or climate change, and you need to get some statistics on how is the Caribbean dealing with climate change? What is the year in which sea level would rise? Like all this data, whenever you need to get this information, and maybe you want to include it in your infographic, don't just Google it one place and then use it. Try to get it from a lot of these places here, like the World Bank, World Health Organization, Google Scholar, you know, UNICEF. A lot of these places have a lot of data. And sometimes we just kind of Google it and just throw it in our presentation. So when we're doing the infographic, just to make sure that your information is correct, try and get it from the source. Okay, Google can be a little bit all over the place. All right, guys, so that is pretty much it. So architectural infographics. This is what we'll be doing next. How are we doing on time? Not too bad. All right, this is where my talking ends. Now, I have something interesting to show you here. Hopefully you guys are still with me. You guys still with me? Yeah? Not gone bed yet?
Not yet, sir. We're still here.
Not yet. All right. That means soon. All right. I'm going to what time is it? Hold on a second. Oh, we're good on time. All right. So this was a project that I did some years ago, right? And it had a problem, right? I don't have the elevations in here. Oh man. But I had the elevations. Now I'm gonna have to dig up the elevations. Anyway, all right. Anyway, the issue with this project is that they had 3 different blocks. They had the river suite. So this was a resort, right? In Jamaica, by the way, it's built already, right? But they had a challenge with communicating the rooms. And the reason for that is, usually when you have an apartment complex, you would say, oh, yeah, man, we have 10 3-bedrooms and, 20 1-bedrooms, and that's about it. In this case, they had, I'm trying to remember. Let me tell you the value here. They had more than 15 room types, which is a little crazy. Let me go to, and everybody was getting confused as to how many units are in the building, where is my units located in the building, where on the site is the units located. And this is a common problem when you have these developments. Like you see most of the developments that's going on in Kingston, you guys see a lot of that. But a lot of them, they have pretty much most of it is like either a 1-bedroom or 1-bedrooms, yeah, studio, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom. And usually that's it. But what if you had and that's 3 unit types. So you can have a diagram that shows your 3 unit types. Like you would have something that tell you, oh, from 1st floor to 3rd floor is studios. Or maybe you'd have it in plan. Everything on this side is studios, everything on this side is 1-bedroom. So these are all ways of representing like the information about the plans. But in this case, they didn't have 3 unit types. Let me tell you how much unit types they had. Now, what I want to do is give you guys a little brain teaser now for you to figure out how would you represent this information. Let me find the folder with it first. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da. Bear with me a little bit. Let me see if I can find, what do I have here? I just have the plans and the rooms. I'm trying to see if I have some more information here. And let me just see if I can put it on the mirror board real quick. Architectural Infographics. What's this project called again? It's called Bessa. Okay. There we go. First it's empty. All right. Found the site plan. There we go. Good. Sorry guys, this information, I thought I had put it on the mirror board, but it's not here. Well, that's a draft one. So I had the final one. All right. So while this extracts, because I got everything all compressed. So in this case, these were all the different units that were located. So what was delivered was a bunch of plans, right? And the reason why this was confusing was that the plans span different floors. So it's not just like units are stacked on together, but you have units that span across different floors. So here we go. Let's see. All right. Plans. Right. So then there were different blocks. So for example, this was one block. This one block had 4 different floors. And I was hoping to find the elevation could help. But I'm gonna get it in a little bit. And then you had some pool, and then you had some ocean villas, right? So, all right, here we go. All right, good. There we go. All right. Now, see if you guys can follow me now. In total, there were what had to be done for people to understand how this worked, they needed to know how much units there were in total, and they needed to know where the units were. Now, initially, they tried using the approach from a plan perspective. So for example, if you look in the plan, you could say, okay, this is my ground floor here. And if you look on the plan, you could say, okay, this is one. Oops, where is it? Sketch, let me use this. Here we go. Too big. This is red. Let's make it smaller. You could say this is one plan that is here. So you could have a plan here. 1, 2, then 3, then 4, and so forth and so forth. So each of these areas here are different plans, which is pretty straightforward, right? Now, if you look at some of them, so for example, this unit here, both of these come together to form a 2-bedroom. In this area here, it's a 1-bedroom. So then I put the word 1 in there, and then put the word 2 here. So if I were trying to communicate this to, I don't know, like somebody's interested to buy one of the units or interested to know how much 1-bedroom you have or whatever, you know, I could do a diagram like this where I say, okay, let me hatch out where all the 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom units are and so forth. And this is one of the reasons why you do this in architecture, because especially where you have residential units, multi-floor, it's very easy to kind of get confused where the units are. But this is pretty straightforward because, you know, this is a 1-bedroom, and then 2-bedroom, and then so forth. So you would have sections where it's combined. So for example, this is a 2-bedroom, and then it have a 1-bedroom that's in the middle. And then this mirrors on the other side, right? So here's my mirror line here. So everything over here is mirrored on this side. But the reason why this gets a little tricky is when it starts going to the other floors. So the second room is fine. The second floor is fine. Shows it just fine. But the third and fourth floor now if you follow what's happening here, this is a 2-bedroom. That's here. But then this here is a 2-bedroom, but it has a stairs, and that's the stairs that's right here. And this stairs carries me up to this level, right? That's right here. So here's the stairs that you come up to. So you have the other room that is here. And then, to make matters even tricky, this room extends over to here and has a lounge. So this was what was confusing a lot of persons, because the room that is above this room, you know, so it's not as simple as just to put this in plan. And what happened is that they were trying to create a brochure or something to communicate to the people, both to the contractor. This was the architect. So the architect had to communicate with the client. The client had to communicate with their buyers and the investors. So the architect had to figure out what is a good way to communicate all of these complicated unit layouts in a simple way that people can understand. They needed to know the amount of units, where the units are located, and everything. So I'm just giving you a piece of the confusion, and then this is just one block. So of course you have this repeating and so forth, but I'm showing you one of the more complicated blocks. So this is where we turn to information graphics. It's specifically architectural information graphics. So let me scroll down here. This is what it looks like. These are some renderings that I did a couple years ago, right? So this is what the outside looked like, right? However, these were the solutions that were proposed to make the scheme easier to understand. So firstly, there's a site plan, which that is pretty straightforward. So the site plan is here, and it will label all the different units and where they're located, right? That's pretty straightforward. Then there's an aerial view. So here is showing clearly, okay, there's an A block, a B block, and a C block, right? And this is just a very basic kind of way of representing this thing, because obviously the colors are there. That is aligned with A, B, and C, right? Now, this is where things get interesting. These are the elevations of each of the units, right? So firstly, I think this one answered, where are all the studio units located? So if you look here, this block communicates here, right? This block communicates here, and this communicates here. Now, this was done in a brochure, but for our purposes in this lecture, I've just taken out all of the graphics to show you, so that it's easy to understand. Now, if you look on the elevation, you can see, oh, these are where all the studio units are in this entire block. So somebody looking at this can say, oh, okay, so unit A has studios here. Unit B has these very same studios, but now they are around here. And unit C has these studio units here. Then notice that there is a mirrored highlight here, right? And you guys probably did this in your housing project, right? So when we say something is mirrored, Alexia, you know, what does that mean?
Basically that it's flipped.
Exactly, that is flipped. Now the reason we needed to show that is when you show a floor plan. So for example, which one was it? I think it was this one. I just copied these out to show you guys. This is the raw data. So it's not in on the page. But usually when you show a floor plan, so these were some floor plans that we did. But you're not going to show the plan and then the flip plan. You're just going to show, you're going to show it just one time, because that will be a bit confusing. So when we did these diagrams, we labeled these mirrored so that they know that, oh, when they look in the brochure, they're really seeing this, the ones on this side, and then this is going to be a mirror. So that it was legally communicated that the bedroom is going to be on this side for this unit, right? So let's look on this other more complex unit now. Now this is the penthouse unit. And if you look how this is kind of interesting, and this is what confused a lot of people, because this unit that's here goes upstairs and then it stretches over the units below. So imagine you're showing that in plan. It was hard for the customers, it was hard for the client to kind of follow. It was like a puzzle of different plans. But when we look at it this way, we can say, oh, so we have one unit that's here and a unit that's here, and we can see that it stretches over this area that's these two plans here. Then here we go with these units, and check it out. These units actually goes over like this, because when you approach this unit here, you go upstairs and then you go over to the other unit, and then this is mirrored on each side. Now, I mean, these, as I say, guys, you have to understand that, you know, where's the original? This was what they had before. They just had a list of so much units, different sizes, and a bunch of plans. Like this is why you have infographic, because you needed a way to simplify all of this stuff into a way that you can understand, right? So let me show you this other diagram now. So this was the page that was inside the unit. So if you look here, let me zoom in on this one. This is how all the units were stacked. So I believe the colors in here were color coded with a key. I just took this out of the page, so I don't think, oh, I have the key down here, right? So most of the understanding of this unit was done from the elevation view, not from the plan view, because it was much harder to understand from the plan view. So for example, look at this unit. Like, these are the different unit types that are in this building, which is insane. Because normally when you have a block, you have the same units repeated over and over again. But the way that this building was designed is almost like a puzzle piece, and the different units fit together to form the building, right? I don't know if I've confused most people, but this is what was confusing, right? And I make sure to document this for you guys, because this is the kind of problems that you visually have to solve with infographics, right? Now we did this unit matrix down here. Mic check, I'm back. Right, to help people understand where the units are. So when you look at, for example, this matrix here, you can say, oh, okay, this is, let me get one here, like the yellow. This is a 2-bedroom, let me circle it here, with roof terrace. And I know that this unit is located here. Why? Because I can see the shape and the color, and the shape and the color is aligned with this unit here. Now, if you notice, there are 1, 2, 3 different types of this unit, which is also insane. Now that this memory is coming back to me, yeah, this project was very insane, right? So if you look here, these are all penthouse units, but they have something in them that makes them different. Maybe they have an extra closet. I don't know. So the fact is that they had 3 different types of penthouse units spread across 3 different blocks, and they were arranged in this method. So you can imagine it was a little bit complex for you to understand this. I mean, even the contractor on the project was at times confused as to where the units were located. I'm telling you. And you can kind of see why, because it's like this. Granted, I love the design because what this design did was not, the objective of this design was to not make the units feel pancake stacked. They wanted it to have an interesting blend of different units, but the side effect of that is that it became very tricky to understand how the units are laid out. If you are a person that needs to shopping around for a unit and you want to know where it is in the building, it became very confusing, right? So this was a matrix that was created down here, and it was aligned with these here, right? And these were created on the different pages. So what they did with this now is they pinned this up in the site office, and all the contractors, all the subcontractors, all the potential purchasers, everybody used this infographic to know where the units are. If somebody is interested in unit 76, they know that unit 76 is exactly here in whichever block. And that is the story of this infographic project, right? This is available on the Miro board, guys. I pasted it there so you can look around and check it out. As I said, I kind of broke it up into little pieces so that you guys can see. And I guess this is a little complicated because, you know, it was a complicated project in terms of the unit layout, but it's an example of how you can use how infographic basically, this is like the London Tunnel drama that we started off with. When they made a map of the London Tunnel, everybody was confused, and it had to be simplified into straight and diagonal lines. This is the same thing. This had to be simplified into boxes so that people could understand how the building, how the units are laid out in the building. All right, guys. All right, any questions?
No, sir.
All right. No, I mean, usually what we do is I would give you a problem like this to solve, but that's okay. I'm just kind of going through showing you some examples for now, like, right, so if it's this, these are the different units that were here. Yes, bring back memories. Anyway, now I also have here some examples of architectural infographics that we spoke about, right? The examples are here, so you can check them out, and I also put the links there so you can check out where they're from, right? Some really interesting ones here, like I love this one. This is a kind of a word representation, but the word tells you where the spaces are, right? It is a party diagram, but it is also, you know, an infographic as well. Pretty cool. Here are some other ones that's here as well. All right, guys, so that is going to be our discussion on infographic. Now, who here has finished assignment 1? All right, who here started? Let me not say who here finished it. Show by thumbs up. Who has started the assignment 1, the first infographic? Cool. I saw some persons showing me some, like one person reach out and asked me, for a mini critique. I'm not doing mini critiques. I will give a little hint as to, where is this information, but I'm not going to, you guys are, it's an assignment. You're supposed to submit it and I mark it. It is not a presentation. However, has anyone done any illustrations in their digital notebook? Any ideation that was done?
Yes, sir.
All right. You want to stick it on the board? You'll get a bonus mini review from me of your idea. Anybody else? Just one person? Anybody else has start putting stuff in their notebook? I should close these other things. I missed that thumbs up. Okay. All right. Anybody want to show it? Oh, we're on time. Okay. No? Opportunity going once. Opportunity going twice. All right. Okay. So what we're going to do is schedule here. I'm going to give you guys some time to finish up your infographic assignment. I see here most persons start it. Anybody finish it? Last time I checked, I didn't see any submissions. So no, nobody will finish it yet. So that is going to be due tomorrow. So I want you guys to use the rest of the class time to finish that up. Then we have a class activity on Monday where, just like how I showed you I gave you some tips of how to do a regular infographic. We're going to do that, but for architectural infographic, right? We're going to do a little short selection process, let's call it that, and we will unveil assignment 2. So we're going into assignment 2 on Monday. All right, guys. So on Monday, last time we didn't get to jump into any programs as such. I mean, I showed you some examples, but still walk with your programs on Monday. All right, guys. We're going to go into architectural infographic, do a little class activity, and unveil assignment 2. All right. But that will be it. That is it for today, guys. Please use the rest of the time to finish. Remember, it's due tomorrow. All right, guys. Let's wrap it up. Send it to me tomorrow so I can just mark it and we just continue. I'll see you on Monday. All right.
Bye, sir. Have a good evening.
You too. Take care.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye, sir.
Sir, big up.
All right.
Sir, the quickest question. Are you still there?
Yes, luckily I was just about to click that button.
Yeah, so just real quick. You want to see one image, everything in one.
Yes.
One.
So you shouldn't be giving me 2 pages.
No, not well. It could be
You're-
2 on
you're
one
s-
page, but just one in one
Right.
page, one image.
That's
Okay.
the idea. Because remember, you're selecting 2 topics,
Yeah.
and you have to creatively try and communicate it as one combined graphic.
Okay.
Right?
I currently have it as 2, but I'm gonna combine it some more.
Look for opportunities, because some of them are talking about the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So look for opportunities. Yeah, man.
All right. Thanks, sir.
All right, cool.
Sir,
Yeah.
you remember me?
Yeah, man, I remember.
Okay.
Man. I haven't
Okay,
forgotten.
sir. Okay, sir. Good night.
All right, cool.